Oh, well, I think we just started. Yeah, there we go. There was no countdown, gentlemen. So we are live. We usually have the 20 to 1 countdown. George, it's like we're shaking the rust off from last meet. We're back today, opening day. We're already messing things up, but we're live, and it's the weekend preview show. How you doing, Georgie? Good to be back here at the Great Race Place.
It's great to be back. It's been a whirlwind these last couple of weeks getting ready for the opening. There's so much excitement going on, and my desk is a mess. And but man, I am looking forward to some tremendous racing this weekend.
And Skipper and Gino, if you guys didn't notice yet, we switched offices a little bit.
That's
so
right.
George is in my old office now. He's got the Doug O'Neill bobblehead or fat head behind him, and I'm in the back now. But
is this like Gino, that episode of Friends? It's like that episode of Friends when they switch across the apartments. They go across the hall for like a season, and everyone. Somebody lost a bet. I feel like Did you win or did you lose this bet?
Well, trust me, I lost. So
okay.
Gino, you're always keeping very busy, and I know you're on a hot streak now after a long summer of bad beats. You're back on the beam.
Yeah, it was funny. I had a good weekend last weekend, and then today in the first race, I had the number 7. It was 7-1 and loomed up and was right there in a photo and just missed. And I was like, oh, okay, back to where we were again. Now that felt more familiar. I've been more used to being on the wrong end of the photos. But yeah, it was a good couple weeks, and looking forward to the next 5-6 weeks are fun. This time leading into the Breeders' Cup this weekend, we're going to get the big last round of prep races over the next few weekends. Santa Anita, we'll get some at Aqueduct at Belmont. You'll get some at Churchill, and then over at Keeneland. So we'll get a chance to see a lot of these great horses run one more time before the really big couple days in just a little over a month now.
Yeah, yep. It's Skipper. We're starting to get Breeders' Cup fever. We got some win in your ins, some big stakes races this weekend. Tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6:30, flight line will work again here at Santa Anita, preparing obviously for the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's starting to get exciting time, Skipper.
Yeah, this is our favorite time of year. A month out from Breeders' Cup, and Breeders' Cup is our Super Bowl. We love it, and those have been some of my best days, believe it or not. With the full fields and the big prices. So, looking forward to it. Glad they're back at Santa Anita, and I'm ready to go this weekend.
I love it. Well, let's get things rolling then, and we're going to kind of go over the stakes races for each day, Saturday and Sunday. Then we'll try to get a best play from everybody, and hopefully we can pick some winners. Start the week
real quick before we jump into all of those.
Yeah,
the pick'em contests are back. And they're already up and live and running for Saturday. Those are those free games that are so much fun. Pick'em.santanita.com. And if you're someone who's playing the races, if you're a fan of football, Saturdays there's a lot of college football props. Some just picking the lines of games. They're free to enter. If you win, you get $1,000. I mean, what better way to build a bankroll than to win when you don't have to invest anything? That's great. No losses.
It's a great thing, and Gino and I have been working on that and trying to get a little bit more creative even with some of the plays, and even adding some matchups along the way, just to integrate that as well. Sports betting evolves here, hopefully even more so in California. So like you said, what's wrong with free, first of all, and you win a dime if you hit it. So,
and if anybody needs some help and they weren't sure what we're talking about, if you follow me on Twitter, it's me, Gino B. I just did a little tutorial video. I spent about 10 minutes showing how to sign up. Just click on everything, build your account, and then what the props look like. And I actually gave you some insight on a few of them that will probably lead you in the wrong direction. That's sort of that's my plan there. So I can win myself. I got to steer you in the wrong way a little bit.
And like you said, it's separate each day. So every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we will have the pick'em free to join, $1,000 for the winner. So join us, please, and Gino will show you exactly how to do it.
That's $1,000 for the winner each day too, not cumulatively. So there's correct prizes out there.
Yep, separate day, $1,000 a day. All right, gentlemen, let's jump into tomorrow. Let's move to the third race. We're going 1.25 miles in the John Henry Turf Championship. Georgie, let's go age before beauty. What are you thinking here in the third?
Man, this is a really exciting race. In this race, Phil D'Amato, the Sultan of Sod, as I call him, he's got half the field. So chances are he's going to end up in the winner's circle. Gold Phoenix, I love Gold Phoenix, our leading jockey, JJ Hernandez gets aboard, he's certainly got a big shot. I know you've liked Dicey Mo Chara for a while, Chappie, and I think I'm going to put a play on cash equity. This kid Barrios, Hector Barrios, has really impressed me. Man, he's done so well here in Southern California, and I've been impressed with him. This horse comes in first time gelding, the ultimate equipment change, the hot riding Hector Barrios, a good price, and is one of the Sultan Assad trainees. I'm going with the 6 on the outside.
All right, cash equity. You know, it's a 6-pack here, but it's a terrific field. And Gino, I'll be interested to see, does Master of Foxhounds have an advantage on the front end as Lone F, or what are your thoughts here in this race?
That's where I'm leaning. Yeah, I think he's either on the lead, or if for some reason someone wants to get maybe a little creative, he's fine sitting just off if he has to. I think he's the classiest of the speed horses in here, of the horses who will be forwardly placed, and he should get a really beneficial trip in this smaller field. He's going to go third start of the form cycle here. And I think it's a really nice spot for him to get a really nice kind of cozy trip. I'm leaning Master of Foxhounds, maybe as a horse that I can kind of key in on. Very talented group, though, with, Gold Phoenix and Dicey Mo, obviously top tier contenders there.
Yeah, Gino, can I just interject? That last race of Master of Foxhounds, man, it had everything his own way, and he still couldn't close the deal. I'm just thinking, last 2 years, he only has one win. I don't know. He might get some pressure from Breakpoint. I just don't think he's got that killer instinct anymore.
Yeah, I think in the smaller field with, like, if Breakpoint goes, he can sit a little. In that bigger field last time, the fractions were slow, but it wasn't the easiest of trips. It was still kind of a contested, like, kind of playing cat and mouse.
Somebody made a big move at like the 3/8,
and then it kind of quickened everything up. Like it sped everything up. So yeah, and it's not as if Hernandez, he's awesome, but when he leaves and you get Rispoli, who had such a fantastic summer. So yeah, I lean him in this small field, and maybe you can get a little more value with him than a couple others in here if he is in that like 3 to 1-ish range.
All right, so Skip, we have a 6-pack. Are all 4 of us going to take a different horse on top? I haven't given my play yet, but where are you heading in this field?
I'm going with Georgie. I like the 6 cash equity. They gelded this horse. And, it had trouble last time. Back, it won very nicely over this course, and I love the way that it did it. They have high expectation. This horse ran in a grade 1, grade 2 back in France. So, for them to geld this horse, I just thought that was a little suspicious. Like, they think this horse could run. They're going to geld it. I think that, they know something obviously we don't. But I thought that was very interesting. Maybe they want to get it, to concentrate a little bit more. But I loved when he won back in May. I love that race. The race before, coming off a little break there, he ran second to Hong Kong Harry. We all know about Hong Kong Harry. That horse, for D'Amato is a monster. And then the last time at Del Mar, it ran good in the Eddie Reed, but it had trouble. It tight start. It was bothered. I throw that race out. And I'm not a big Giroux fan myself, and I don't like criticizing jockeys, and it's nothing against him. The guy's won Breeders' Cup Classic with Gunrunner. He's a great jockey. I don't have luck with him. So I love to switch to Barrios, and I love the first time gelding. I'm going to take a shot with cash equity.
I'm not trying to rip on Drew either, but he did not have a good stay out here in Southern California, and I do like when somebody else comes on mounts he was on in the past. But that being said, as much as I love Dicey Mo Chara, I did like the big giant kick of Gold Phoenix last time out, and I think that would be my top choice. So
by the way, that race killed me. I loved Masterpiece that day. I had everything going to him and looked like a winner, and here comes Gold Phoenix just to get him at the wire. That summed up my whole Del Mart meet.
I had Dicey Mo, who looked like he was going to win on the inside from the rail.
I did too that day.
Rail. What a ride.
Unbelievable. But I've been chasing that horse forever. We sound like broken records here. We're already chasing and losing.
With our dad beats, and we're on different horses running second and third.
All right. Let's move on to race 5. We've got another race on the turf, an interesting race, the City of Hope Mile Grade 2. Gino, which way which way you looking here? Another small field, but very interesting field and pace wise too.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to the City of Hope, place that saved my life. I spent a lot of time in the City of Hope, so this was this one of the reasons why I'm still here right now, or the people at the City of Hope. So for me, obviously, it's going to start with Beyond Brilliant and what you think of Beyond Brilliant's chances in here to get the lead. On paper, he's the horse to catch. So I think from a starting point, like if you want to single him, or if you think he's the horse to beat and you don't want to get creative, I have no problem with that. I usually try to get a little creative. So for me, looking at the rest of this field, I feel like I kind of know what Kafkin Peak and Irideo are. Solid horses, they're fine, but I think I kind of know what they are. Tarantino, I'm sort of hoping he's the horse that can maybe put a little pressure on Beyond Brilliant, because he has a little bit of speed. They're going to add the blinkers. Can he be the horse that puts the pressure on? Just sort of like going through process of elimination in this field, the horse to me that feels like the playable horse, if you're looking to bet this race and bet a horse to win, that might be around 5-1. It's Prince of Bama. This is a horse who's got a lot of upside right now. I mean, you dive into his career overall, he's raced 7 times. He's been in the exacta 5 times, and the 2 times that he wasn't, he finished 4th. And, one of those 4ths was in a field of 19 in his first start. The other time he was 4th, beaten just a length when he had legitimate trouble on February the 5th. He came off of a pretty solid layoff. He was second and like a 6-month break, and it was a really good effort. He was like a powerful winner that day. And what I like is it looked like he grew up a little bit from the early part of his 4-year-old season to now the later part of his 4-year-old season. I think just a little bit more mature now. I like this horse. I think if you're trying to beat Beyond Brilliant, he makes the most sense kind of in this spot at the price he may be. He doesn't have to be too far out of it either. Can he sit like 3rd? Or, if Tarantino goes and puts a little pressure on Beyond Brilliant, can he be the horse that capitalizes? I don't want to see him being the presser. That he may get in trouble if he tries to run after him. But if he can sit 3rd or 4th, he's kind of really intriguing to me, and one of the kind of interesting plays in this smaller field.
All right, so Prince Obama at 6-1, which is a nice price. I think you're going to get near that. I put the same thing with the blinkers on. Does Tarantino? That's the key to the race. Go with the 3. I'm thinking Tarantino will. I'm kind of leaning towards Kafkin Peak, who for some reason the last 2 times have been way out of it. Umberto gave that horse no chance last time out and flew late. Skipper, I got a feeling I know where you're going with a horse we liked in Vegas, but which way are you heading, and would that be the 2-ball?
That will be the 2-ball. Iridio, I like this horse a lot. 3 back coming down the hill. It ran a monster racing. It's one of our favorite horses, Air Force Red. And it looked like it was going to get up and win that day on the inside at 51-1. Luckily, it didn't, because we didn't have it. We had Air Force Red. Coming back, we were in Vegas for opening weekend, and we liked this horse. It went off at 31-1 and won nicely. I loved it last race, but Hong Kong Harry was just a little too much for it. I like it right back in this spot. Hector Berrio stays with this horse instead of Prince Obama, and Marcelo Polanco's done a great job with this horse. The last work was very nice. The key to the race, like Gino said, was who's going to go, or can anybody go with Beyond Brilliant? We hope Tarantino does with the blinkers on, and I'm hoping maybe the outside horse, Candarell. I know they take the blinkers off, but this horse is coming out of sprint races. Maybe with Vasquez on it, maybe it will try to put a little pressure or get close to the pace is what I'm hoping. And Irideo, I like that horse a lot. So I'm going to single there. I love this horse. I think it's in sharp form, and it likes to win. It's won 5 at 11 and 4 of 10 at on the turf, and 2 of 5 at the distance. So that's where I'm at.
Isn't it funny how we've all done these shows together? We all know each other's tendencies, and we half the time we can pick where the other guy's going before we even start. None of us have talked about this before whatsoever.
And then when we look back, it'll be one of those horses that knocked us out, and we're like,
exactly.
Why did I use that?
Yeah. Georgie, where are you heading in this 6-pack?
Well, I got to say that so far in the first 2 races that we've handicapped, I thought Skip has been beyond brilliant because I'm also landing on his pick, Irideo. So great job, Skip. Great job. Hey, here's a phrase you don't hear too often. Hector Berrios had a choice between two runners in a grade 2. Well, I didn't think I'd ever be able to say that. But Hector Barrios looks like he could have rode Prince Obama, but decides to stick with Irideo. And Polanco, man, he don't win too often, but all of a sudden he's winning with Barrios. And, you know, Quentin Tarantino has a penchant for shoot 'em up movies. And I think that Tarantino can massacre the chances of beyond brilliant early on. So let's see if Tarantino can get sloppy there and set it up for Irideo.
I love how in a 6-pack, none of us take the 6-5 morning line favorite, which we all enjoy beating chalk, but sometimes you got to eat it. But I think we're all against Beyond Brilliant, and that horse will probably now go wire to wire and win by 3.5 lengths. But we move on. Let's go to the sixth race. Now we're going 6 furlong Santa Anita Sprint Championship, and who haven't we let off with yet? Skipper?
We have not. I wish somebody else would go here. This was a real tough race to me. I know Forbidden Kingdom. We've been a big fan of that horse. It's a 3-year-old going against older. The horse has looked very, very sharp at Santa Anita, likes the track. And then this Sanchez has got a couple runners in here. And boy, both of them like to win. Toto Fino's won 10 out of 15. But it looks like there's a lot of speed in here to me. And that makes me want to go with the old timer, the 8-year-old, number 1, CZ Rocket. I love the blinkers off. It's got a win over the track. I think it's going to get a great trip. Last race, you know, it was off slow from the rail. It had a little trouble. That was a very tough race, won by Laurel River, the Baffert horse. I think this horse is going to get a great setup today. I don't really like the price. I was hoping the price would be a little bit better, but I'm going to take a shot with CZ Rocket with the blinkers off.
CZ Rocket, blinkers off. Gino, is that horse past his prime, or are you leaning? It does set up for CZ Rocket.
If he's got anything left, he's going to show it here. But Skip kind of hit my exact feeling is that I don't really love, like with his running style from the rail, with all of those things, I still would probably want a little bit better of a price than we're going to get at him. It should set up nicely for him. That was the problem I had when I'm handicapping this race. I'm trying to find the horse who's going to sit the trip, right? That's not CZ Rocket, who's coming from way back from the rail, who can be sitting mid-pack and benefit if Forbidden Kingdom is a little short, or if they do go too quick. I can't really find that horse. Maybe because he's drawn to the outside, Toto Fino can sit a little bit. That's probably the direction I go, hoping that he can just take back a little. I mean, he comes out of a race that's come back very strong. He beat 3 next out winners so far. Sunrise Journey got a 90 buyer speed figure, winning next out at Los Al. Mr. Impossible won a first level allowance next out with a 93 buyer. Disc Journey came back to win next out, dropped in class and beat 25 claimers. So the race came back live. That was his first start since April. That was his first start in the U.S. He has every right to take a little step forward. So I probably lean in that direction at Toto Fino if I'm looking for a horse to play around 4-1.
It sure looks like with that trainer having 2 in there that the 5 is going to go, and it does set up for the 7. I agree with you. Nice outside draw. One horse I'm not going to pick a horse. I'm going to pick a horse who I'm against and who I was very much against the last time, and that's Kid Corleone, who does not change leads down the stretch whatsoever. That was one of my favorite bet against of all time last time out. And that horse got a very easy lead, yet stopped. Georgie, I hope you're not going that way, but maybe you are. Where you head?
Well, here's a phrase you don't hear too often. Hector Barrios had a choice between 2 horses in a grade 2 event. Holy cow, it's deja vu all over again. I guess you do hear that phrase often.
I think I just heard that.
Hector Barrios, come on, man. He is lined up. If you go through the whole card, he might have a big day. Super Ocho ran a super race at Mountaineer, earned a stellar thoroughgraph number. And I don't know if Forbidden Kingdom, this is his best distance. This could be a prep race for future things to come. And again, Hector Barrios could have been on Toto Fino. He won with that one last time out for Amador. And here he got Super Ocho. It doesn't, it's not to look at it, but he had some problems in that race last time against Lieutenant Dan. It was a big field. He got pinballed around. And I'm telling you what, at 10-1, I am looking for Hector Barrios to have a nice day with Super Ocho Sábado Domingo.
Sábado Domingo. Personally, I think Forbidden Kingdom will be a better sprinter than a router, but we shall see.
Right? Yeah, it feels like it's going to be good for him.
Yeah, but a very interesting race pace-wise, as we all said. So, all right, it is stakes galore, gentlemen. We move right on to the 7th race for another stake race. We're down the hill, which we always love, Gino, the old Eddie D Grade 2. Yeah. And one of my favorites is in here, but there's some interesting pace plays once again. Which way you heading here, Gino?
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, Air Force Red is a horse who likes the hill. We've used a couple times, but I feel like when you have Air Force Red in here, who's pretty quick, Dubai Key is very fast. They're going to go. And then you have Goliad, who even cutting back, I imagine they're still going to want to try to shove or be really, really close to it. So I think this pace should be at least honest. The horse I like is drawn to the outside. I'm looking at the 9, Tango, Tango, Tango. This horse has never been shorter than 7.5 furlongs, but that was a win going 7.5. These are the types of horses I absolutely love, just the profile of down the hill. When they've shown a little bit of positional speed going longer, then they cut back. The outside draw, normally going long on the turf, or even, sprinting on the turf, you wouldn't really love. But down the hill, the outside draw is actually the good draw. I have a feeling this horse can sort of take back, sit mid-pack to the back, and then just sort of tip to the outside and come flying late. Third start of the form cycle, I think Tango, Tango, Tango will come rolling. So this one I'll definitely be using in a lot of exotics. And I think there's a couple of speed. I'll use, 1 or 2 of the other speed horses along with, maybe even throw in the 7. But some win money if we can get like 6-1 plus on Tango, Tango, Tango.
I do a tip sheet for the big days, and I actually picked Tango, Tango, Tango third because of that reason. It's kind of the wild card in here. And Georgie, Tango, Tango, Tango is actually the horse who kind of messed up the pace the last time in that race we were talking about earlier.
Made the move.
Made that big early move and went all the way to the lead and then just stopped late. A very odd race there. And what do you think of Georgie in another interesting race? Not the biggest of fields. Now, this one has a big field, and we love the downhill, but some very interesting races tomorrow. Which way you heading here, George?
This is a very competitive race, no question about it. And Gino kind of touched on it. I like betting outside runners in this type of a race. And look, Air Force Red, certainly he's got some speed, but he's coming off a mile race. Might dull his speed a little bit. Goliad, also the same thing. To me, the speed of the speed of the speed, and I'm going to just ride this guy all the way to the winner's circle today, is Hector Barrios aboard Dubai Key. Dubai Key dusted Air Force Red last time. They don't got the kind of speed. Nobody in this race has got the kind of speed that Dubai Key possesses. And he's going to get a nice lead, saving some ground on the first turn. He's going to be outside, and when they make that second turn, he's going to be in perfect position. I'm riding Hector Barrios' coattails all day long. He's going to be my key. And in this race, hopefully it'll be the Dubai Key.
You better make sure you set his alarm in the morning because, if he misses the races tomorrow, you're in some serious trouble. You can't be oversleeping. So
I think George might change his last name to Barrios tomorrow. This is Hector Barrios' world. We're just living in it here. Where are you heading, Skipper?
I'm going back with the horse that we love, Air Force Red. It's going back to its favorite track. He loves this downhill turf course. He doesn't need the lead to win. And I tell you what, I watched the replay of the last race at Del Mar Mile Grade 2. That was a very sneaky good race. I mean, it got beat by the monster Hong Kong Harry, the horse that I like earlier in the card, Irideo. And this horse was flying. Look at 22, 45, 108. And then he barely got beat for third. That was a key race. The final time was mile and 133. I love this horse cutting back in distance. I think Leonard Powell is going to have a great meet. He had a little slow Del Mar meet, but there at Santa Anita, he had a great meet. I think he's got his horses ready to go at Santa Anita. This horse loves the downhill turf course. It doesn't need the lead, like I said. At 5-1, I'm all over Air Force Red.
I'm with you there. You guys know I've loved Air Force Red since the jump. Horse is 3 for 3 going down the hill. That race at Del Mar, first of all, last time out the mile, and Goliad and Air Force Red ran off anyways. And the race at Del Mar, that horse just didn't fire at all. I don't the sprint at Del Mar, 2 back, it just ran a dull race. So I got to give Air Force Red one more chance. Interesting race once again, pace wise. All right, we move again to another stakes race, 4 straight, race 8, the grade 1, awesome again. Georgie, is Hector Barrios in here? And who are you taking on Azul Coast at 20-1?
Hector Barrios is on the 1 horse, and I'm jumping right off of those coattails. I'm just leaving him in the dust here. He can win without me. I don't like Azul Coast at all. But certainly, it's good to see him riding for Bob Baffert. Come on, man. This is a jockey that came out of nowhere and is doing well. But Azul Coast, I don't know. I'm going to eat some chalk in this race, man. I think Country Grammar, ran great behind Flightline. It was 500 lengths back to him, but still, he ran good. This is he's won over $11 million. Got dusted by Flightline. I can't wait to see Flightline again. I mean, I see the PPs, and all I can stare at is Flightline. What a great runner that is. I'm going with Country Grammar, but this is a wide open event. Tough to come up with anybody with any confidence.
I tell you, you don't see too many horses that have won $11 million in their career, and 2 ran 100 buyer and got beat by 19 and a quarter lengths. Country Grammar. Skipper, which way you heading here?
And that was one of the amazing things. Like, he made those horses Flightline look so bad in the Pacific Classic. I mean, what were there, 4 or 5 grade 1 winners in there? I mean, they were great horses.
Yeah,
and
really.
just toyed with them. And that goes to show you, I mean, what a superstar he is. And I can't wait to watch him race in the Breeders' Cup. And if we didn't do the show in the morning, I'd be at Santa Anita watching him work out in the morning. I'm going to go with Royal Ship here, coming out of the Pacific Classic. A couple things scare me, but I think it's going back to its favorite track. It's won 2 of 4 here, and his best buyers, his best races have been at Santa Anita. This last work on the 25th was a really nice work. It was about 6-7 lengths off of another horse. It came up the inside and just drew off. And this horse has got such a big stride, and just he reaches out so far. He's fun to watch. I think Royal Ship here, coming back to Santa Anita, Money Mike Smith on there. It looks like their speed, High Connections got some speed. Defunded, I think, is going to go. I think Slow Down Andy from the outside is going to go. I think Royal Ship's going to get a great trip, coming back to his favorite track, won, 8 out of 19, Richard Mandela. I'm going to go with Royal Ship, the 2 horse, 3-1.
All right, Gino. I'm assuming you're between Royal Ship, Country Grammar, or Express Train. I think we've all jumped off the defunded bandwagon at this point. Am I right or wrong there, Gino?
Yeah, sort of like what I was doing before. For me, I'm looking at horses and trying to find out who's the best spot, right? Who's this the spot for? It feels like for Express Train, I think this is his spot because he got the race off the bench, out of the way last time out. Nobody was going to beat Flightline, but that got a little fitness for him now. Now he comes back to Santa Anita where he is best. He is best right here at this racetrack. This is where he's had his best races. So I thought Country Grammar, he probably was maybe ready for a big effort last time, and then unfortunately he runs into Flightline. This might be the day that Express Train is ready to run his big effort if he's still got one of those left. So to me, I'm going to land on Express Train in here. Tons of respect for Country Grammar. He would be no surprise. I don't know if I necessarily am chucking him out of exotics. Royal Ship, he was so big in that Del Mar race a couple starts back, but he has some awesome races here also. He could bounce back in this one, but give me Express Train here. I was trying to make a case for one of the speed horses, but I kind of think they're going to end up hurting each other's chances with Defunded of the Bafferts being the horse that makes sure that Slow Down Andy doesn't go out there and get an easy lead. And they probably set it up for the horses that track right behind them.
Yeah, I think it's one of the 3, like you guys mentioned. I can't get too clever here. I was trying to maybe with slow down Andy or something like that. And I think Defunded is maybe a morning glory at this point. I don't know. We have all liked Defunded at one point or another.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we're all off the train. I've chased that horse too many times. It's all done now. So, all right, we move on to the
real quick. Can I just say something real
Yeah.
quick about Flightline? Because
Yeah.
I heard some guy on a radio show talk about he talked negatively about Flightline. To me, and I think you guys agree, he's transcendental. He breathes rarefied air. He's special. And one guy said, nobody's ever looked him in the eye down the stretch, so I'm not impressed with him yet. Are you kidding me? Because nobody can get even within 20 lengths of him. That doesn't mean, how can you not be impressed by this spectacular runner? Anyway, go ahead.
People love to knock anything, especially a horse who's lightly raced.
Right.
Look,
I think that would be the only thing that you could critique is that he hadn't run a whole lot, but never about the performances when he shows up. Even when he beats small fields, it's because nobody wants to run against him and nobody can be in his area, his zip code, not even area code, like more than that.
Yep.
Yeah, the horse is amazing. The time that I thought he was beatable was in the Met Mile, breaking from the run, the one hole, shipping back east for the first time, and he broke bad. He had trouble. They tried to, do a little jockey
against him. Yeah,
and he still won. That horse is a freak. And how could you knock the horse? I mean, think about it. Like, what horse that we could remember with its first 5 races has started his career like that? Yeah, they've been undefeated and stuff, but the way that this horse has done it, I mean, closest they've got to him is 6 lengths?
Yeah.
And I mean, every time at the wire, they're not even getting close to him. He gallops out another 20 in front of him. I mean, he's special. It's exciting. I'm getting goosebumps.
It's exciting. I get goosebumps. Yeah.
I hope he just runs them right out their feet in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and Life is Good's going to be up there. I'm assuming he's going to go with him, and
that'll be the biggest test that he's had, right? We got to make sure, because Life is Good runs this weekend, so nothing's ever a given in this sport. Anytime that we've needed a 1-9 as a given, I can tell you they're not a given.
Man, for sure.
So you just never know, but that might be the closest a horse may be able to be to him early, to make him work a little bit.
Yes.
And then that should be fun.
Yeah, he seems like a horse of a generation, and we shall see soon enough. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the 9th, guys. Another stake race, not a graded stake, but this is a terrific field of 10 going down the hill in one of our favorite horses, Unzip Me. Skipper, we got to start with you with Unzip Me.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite horses. A good friend of mine, Marty Jones, trained her, and boy, she was a racehorse. I'll never forget that. I hit the pick 6 with her breaking her maiden at Del Mar, and I bet her every time after that. She just wanted to beat you. She loved this turf course. She could win on the main track. She'd win on the turf course. Obviously, she was a special horse. I got a price in here that I like, and it's a jockey that nobody's probably heard of, Hector Barrios.
No, that
I like the 8 a lot. Tezzeret. This horse starting last year back at Del Mar went 2 for 2, won both of its races. Then this year they brought it back in the San Clemente. It was forced out. It checked. It was right there at the top of the stretch. Now it wasn't going to win because Babel was the Phil D'Amato horse was going to win. Bell. This horse would have been 2nd or 3rd, but Lady T came over with Espinoza and just took this horse out and almost knocked it sideways, and the jockey just stood up on it. Its last race was not bad. And I think Gino talked about it earlier. This is a type of horse that I look up for coming down the hill. Its favorite distance, or it looks like its best distance, is a mile. Well, this horse, this 6.5 furlong coming down the hill plays to a mile very well. I love the outside draw here, and I think this horse gets a great trip, and that guy Hector Barrios. But going back to the American or the Del Mar Oaks Grade 1, Spinderella is a really, really nice horse, and that horse won easily. This horse was right, behind it. It won by 4, and then you got Babel, and then you got whatever you say, and then Cairo Memories, the Bob Hess horse. That was a great race. Now it's shortening up at 12 to 1. I'm all over this horse.
Georgie, he's stealing your thunder with Hector Barrios. Where are you heading there? Are you following the Barrios train?
Look, man, Hector Barrios didn't have a choice in this matter. He only had one horse that he rode previously, so he was stuck with Tazare. And let me tell you what, I thought 16 Arches, who came in second in the San Clemente, is coming back as well. You got some runners here like Connie Swingle, who was undefeated on the turf, but really, has that one faced anybody? I'm sorry. I gotta tell you, you're brilliant once again, Skip, because I'm going with Tazare as well. This is grade ones you've been going against, grade twos, grade threes. Did great in Great Britain. Love the outside. We mentioned I love going down the hill, breaking from the outside, and I think he's better than Island of Love, even though Island of Love finished in front of him. If you look at back at that race, and obviously you guys did, had a gigantic excuse. I am riding Hector Barrios all day long. I'm gonna beat him like a rug.
Gee, George is the president of the Hector Barrios fan club.
But I don't like him in the last. So.
Okay, well, we're not even going to the last, by the way. But unless we go to your best bet, but we're just going stakes races today. Otherwise, we'll be here for 3 hours. Gino, who do you like? Here? Is it Connie Swingle's turn or anybody? If not, you're going to get a price in here.
Yeah, I'm right next door to the horse that George was just talking trash about, Island of Love. That's my pick. Island of Love got bumped at the start and then was just kind of out of it. I just put a line right through that Del Mar Oaks. As we've mentioned, Spenderella is really, really nice. She won that race easily. So after Island of Love had some of that early trouble, I just kind of put a line right through it. 2 starts back in that San Clemente, who was right behind 16 Arches. That was Island of Love. Island of Love gets that cutback that we're talking about after some mile races. And if you look at Island of Love's first 2 races before coming over here, they were 6 furlong turf sprints, both of which were victories. So the 6.5 should hit this filly perfectly. She's drawn well again towards the outside. That running style sort of fits nicely for a horse that'll be coming late. I think she's a nice play, at least a nice horse to use in your pick 4s or pick 5s. There are probably going to be a few 4 or 5 to 1 shots in here, horses that are all similar prices in the tier below Connie Swingle.
All right, so Georgie, of course, is on Hector Barrios. He's going to win 17 races tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Gino with another outside horse cutting back down the hill, which is a very good angle. Let's move on to Sunday, gentlemen. So we got another good day of stakes races to close out the weekend. So we're going to jump all the way to the 4th race. And of course, Skip, I got to start with you because of the name of the race, and your dog's named after this horse. And I think maybe all of our favorites. The mile and a 16th, Zenyatta. Midnight Memories 8-5 here, Skipper. But this is another good group. Susei on the comeback and Awake at Midnight. Another small field. A Samurai's Charm on the outside. Are we hitting the all button here, or what are you thinking?
No, I'm all over Midnight Memories. I really like the way this horse won its last race. It's a big horse. I was waiting for him to stretch her out, and they finally did, and she won very nicely. So I'm gonna stick with single Midnight Memories in there, and the Zenyatta, which I named after my dog. Meanwhile, I'm walking the dog this morning, and the guy says, "Man, your dog's beautiful. What's her name, or what's its name?" I said, "Zenyatta." He said, "Oh, the horse." And I said, "Yes, one of my favorite horses. I named her after."
I love it. I don't see Hector Barrios in here.
Not on there.
Are you just skipping this race, George, or what you're playing here?
I'm letting off this race. Hector's not in it. I can't bet. But you know what? I mean, you can find all of Skip's picks. Skip, you got a site that we can get your picks at, right?
Yeah, we do. Actually, I'm gonna redo everything and get it started here in the next couple weeks. But right now, I'm trying to work on a couple things. I want to get the site better and get a social media guy to help me out with it, and we'll get it up and going. But thank you, Georgie, for mentioning that. I'll let everybody know when I do get it up and going again.
And I was going to mention, if you go and see Skip's picks, well, they're almost all my picks, apparently, as well, because Midnight Memories, when I think of Zenyatta and all the great memories that Zenyatta brought us, So like a hunch play, Midnight Memories. What has that one done? Nothing wrong in 4 starts, 3 wins, and had some problems in that July 28th race. So I think he's going to go to the lead. I think Bob Baffert's going to have this one ready. I think he's going to be tough, and it's just a 5-horse field. You either use them all or single. I mean, there's no point in going 2 or 3. So I'm going to be singling Midnight Memories for sure.
All right, so we got 2 on the Midnight Memories train. Gino, are you heading there, or
No.
looking at this, that Susse looked like she was becoming a monster. You go back and watch that Indiana Oaks race.
It was
after
awesome.
the start. It's just a miracle that she won that, and then had an absolute dud off of a long layoff against a very good field. Are you on the Midnight Memories bandwagon as well, or?
Well, no. The one thing I'm going to make her prove it to me, because if you go back to that Torrey Pines race, she was in the race against a horse named Under the Stars, who's running in a race that we're going to talk about in 2 races. And Under the Stars completely missed the break in that race. She was going to be another major player, and she probably would have been right up on the lead too. That sort of changed the entire complexion of the race. And then Midnight Memories, who was 5-1, got a real cozy trip out on the lead. I think that race may look a little bit better than it really was because of what happened there. I like Awake at Midnight a little bit. I look at this 3-year-old filly, and you just dive into all of her races earlier in the year. They were really good. She did not do a whole lot wrong. She goes over to Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks and Derby weekend. She runs in a really strong undercard race behind a horse named Matarea, who just freaks that day. The race came back very live, and she just didn't fire that day. Other than that, I mean, she was behind Nest. She was in the Ashland. That race has come back very strong. The 3rd place finisher came out of that race and won on Preakness weekend in the Black Eyed Susan. Awake at Midnight comes back off of a couple-month break, and on September the 4th, going 6.5. She has a good start. She's sitting 4th from the outside, and then she's wide. Mario kind of moves her to quicken the tempo. She has to move in between horses. Then she has to hold off the horse to her outside that tries to move with her. Kind of puts that horse away and kicks on. It was a nice little comeback race, and she's not far off of what the best figures from everybody else in here are. I mean, her race back in the Santa Ynez, that would be right there with this group, and I think she could offer you really nice value second start back. I like Awake at Midnight in here.
Awake at Midnight, very interesting. I think you're going to get a very good price in here. And did I need Awake at Midnight when, if you go way back when she lost by a nose to these two's Tezeray.
When worlds collide, right?
I think I threw 6 things across the room when she got beat a nose, but we always remember the bad beats, don't we? It's just brained in the.
It didn't help you had to have the human anchor aboard that day either.
Okay, we move along. Let's go, Georgie. Let's go to race 5. I'm trying to look if Hector Barrios is in here. Now, race 5, this is the $100,000 speakeasy, 5 furlongs on the turf. Speedboat Beach ran an absolute monstrous race that was on the dirt. But is this Speedboat Beach's world, and we're just living in it, or are you heading somewhere else?
Complete single in every multi-race bet for me. It's a free square. Bob Baffert unleashed this beast on September 10th. Just the thoroughgraph number was stellar. The buyer number was stellar. Just looks so impressive. And Hijazi is a good runner as well that came in second. I think it was also a Bob Baffert, if I'm not mistaken. So, man, Speedboat Beach is certainly bred for the turf. They paid $200,000 for this one. I don't know if he runs back that race. They're all running for second. Nobody's even come close to a buyer number. Straighten up, maybe.
Why is he in this spot though? That's my only question.
What?
Why is he in this spot? Like off of that number, why isn't he running in the prep race for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile on the dirt next weekend? You know, why?
Off of a race where the first time he ever ran it on the right, it just says new track record.
Why is he must not want to go far at all. This has to be a 5 furlong thing. I mean, to me at least, that's why I think he's in this race, because he should be fine on the turf, but it's not like he has a monster turf pedigree. And it just seems strange that he's in this spot. I don't know. And absolutely, I mean, if he runs back to that race on the turf, I just can't quite get over why he's here and not in like any one of the prep race. I mean, he could have gone to run in a prep race at Keeneland next weekend in one of the 3-year-old prep races. He could have run in one at Belmont, or Aqueduct, like anywhere if he wanted to separate the horses. It's
a turf move for Baffert second time out is a little weird. I agree with you. But
it's nothing to do with his ability in the race he ran.
20, right? I mean, no question.
If I'm playing the race like it's the rest of the field and not him in it, that's sort of how I looked at this race. Like if I'm going to either single him, like George said, or you play it where you're going to toss him and then you maybe use a couple others, I would definitely want to use Ajeez as a horse who I think will run well in here.
George, you remember Ajeez?
Oh, of course I remember Ajeez, man.
Cutting back to
Trouble
5.
Trip first time out, remember?
Yeah, and it just says.
And then we were all over him second time out.
And you know that it's when it just says troubled trip, in the comment lines, it doesn't even tell you. It's usually a good amount. And yeah, it was not an easy start for him in his career debut. And then he came right back in his second start. He sat, he won nicely. And then in his most recent race, they stretched him out. They tried to go long and he was kind of sitting right behind and he kind of shot through the rail. And he was just a horse who was going a little too long. If the Baffert horse gets beat, it's probably because they go too fast in here early, right? And if that's the case, the horse who gets a trip and who's proven that he can pass horses is Ajeez. So I think if you're trying to beat the favorite, he's one of the best horses as far as, hey, we know he can pass horses. Very few else in here have proven that.
Right.
Hey, look, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Because Gino's like trying to knock chalk off my sides, and you know what I'm saying?
I know I'm
I'm
coughing over here from all the dust, man, all over the place.
Come on. Look, I tell you what, if I had, everything's relative. Hey, George, you want to bet that Speedboat Beach is going to become a future superstar? No, I don't want to bet that at all. It has no chance the way they're managing this one. Is this one going to dust this particular field of losers? Yes, I'm betting on that.
Particular group of losers. I love the way he said it. And by the way, Speedboat Beach beat the highly regarded Hijazi last time out, and set a new track record first time out. Skipper, are you chalk here?
I probably am. I do think it's a weird spot for this horse. I really do, but we can't knock it. The way that it won its last race, a track record, very, very impressive. I will add this: if I'm going to add another horse on one of my tickets, and it will be Wound Up, the Michael McCarthy trained horse. That horse, you put that horse in as a price. That's all I'll say. I think that horse got a little shot.
Yeah, 20-1. I agree with you. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the race 6, the grade 3 Chillingworth, going 6.5 furlongs down the chute, not down the hill, and seat 3 to 5 on CC here. Gino, it's a single time here. CC, a win machine, and absolutely loves Santa Anita.
Yeah, she's run well here. If you're trying to beat her, I think it would be right next door with Under the Stars, who I had mentioned just a moment ago. Just completely missed the break and then just didn't get involved. Midnight Memories went one gate to wire in that race. There just was no passing there. So if you put a line through that race and you look at Under the Stars and everything she was doing earlier in the year, and then she came back in that Summertime Oaks race in June, that was a good effort. It looked like she was really starting to, continuing to peak and move forward as a nice 3-year-old. And then she just had that tough start last time out. So yeah, I think she could bounce back if you're trying to beat CC in here.
Georgie, kind of field of 6, but let's say it's a field of 3, the 1, 2, and the 3. Is it CC single time?
Hector Barrios is in this race, right? I just wanted to mention that. Just wanted to throw that out there. And boy, did he look good over there. Los Alamos, 1,000 yards. Looked awful good. I don't know about you guys. CC Shore, multi-millionaire, blah, blah, blah. My Destiny dusted them at 1,000 yards. Dusted them. And they came back and won. But Of course, I like Cece, but what happened in the ballerina? What any excuse at all? Just that was a really dull effort. But she's bounced back from dull efforts before. But I'm gonna do a Cece My Destiny exact. I'll tell you that right now.
Skip, I'm assuming you're going to single here and eat the chalk.
Yeah, Cece. She loves Santa Anita. She loves being around one turn. I think she wins. I'm not going to overthink it. Just Cece. A lot of chalk. I know, Gino. I don't like chalk, but I don't think they could beat Cece.
All right. Wait, I have to sneeze. Barrios. Excuse me.
I feel like I've done my job when people look at me like I'm gonna get scold them for the chalk, So it's like, okay.
I love it.
And when I open the site up again, it's going to be Skip and George picks.
Yeah.
Well,
we're on the same page a lot today.
Skip, George, and Hector.com.
Hector Barrios. Yeah.
You guys can get like tandem headshots together, where you're both like leaning on the desk and like smiling.
Skip and George love Hector.com. All right, let's move on to the 8th race. This is the Tokyo City Cup, 1.5 miles. Georgie, the marathon on the turf. Where you heading?
Well, I mean, this is a really nice race, and I'm going to go with 16 Arches, number 6. Phil D'Amato, I call him the Sultan Assad. He just does nothing but win on the grass, and he just knows how to get them ready to win on the grass. He goes to JJ Hernandez, so he kind of tips his hat by getting the leading jockey aboard. I think you're going to get a good price on him. I think he's going to be 7-2, 3-1. Because he doesn't have like some stellar numbers leading into this, but again, comes off races like we saw earlier, Grade 1, Del Mar Oaks, the San Clemente. I think 16 Arches is the play in this in the Tokyo Cup, and I'm going to put a couple of yen on that one.
Am I missing something with 16 Arches here?
I'm not sure what race we talking, Georgie.
Oh, what race are we talking about?
Race 8, Tokyo
City. We're talking about race number 10.
No, not Hector Barrios.
Hector Barrios is not in this race. Oh,
race number
Tokyo
10. Yeah.
City. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
I was totally lost. But I thought maybe it was me.
I had to check my glasses.
Why did I go to race 10? I'm sorry. We're going to Tis a Magician. Give me some chalk, man. I love me some chalk. And Mike Smith and Mandela. This one is just ultra fast, and I think it's going to be tough to beat. A lot of people think in those marathon races, well, closers do great because they look at them close at 1 1/8 miles. They were flying it. They just get some extra distance. And usually in those marathon races, it is speed that does remarkably well. And I think Tis a Magician with the Hall of Famer is going to win the 8th.
We're talking about the Tokyo City Cup. George is on some race. Hector Barrios is on next weekend.
I know. I was like,
in a claiming race at Anita. All right, where are you heading there, Gino? 1.5 miles. Like Georgie said, the people often get a little confused with pace here in these long races.
I do think this particular race may have a decent amount of pacing here because we have the top 3 horses from the Cougar, the second, that were all 1, 2, 3 pushing the pace. In Tis a Magician, Haywood's Beach, and Extra Hope, they were all right next to each other. And now you're going to add Newgrange into the mix, who he's got to be in this race to be forwardly placed, right? I don't think he's going to be trying to take back and sit. And he actually was in a race last time out where he was right on the lead, but they lined up 5 across the racetrack and he was 3 wide. So he had to sort of take back a little bit and sit, but he wanted to be right on the lead. So now we may have 4 horses on the lead. Storm the Court's got to be there too, right? With Maldonado. I mean, I think they're going to be at least pretty close. Now we have maybe combinations of 5 horses that could be all within a couple lengths and trying to push it. I think it's a great spot for Win the Day. Win the Day is a horse who, you start to dive into his career race by race. He has like 1 bad race, and it was in the Santa Anita Derby behind Taiba, who we just saw come back and run well again last weekend. Win the Day has a trouble trip in his second start going long on the turf. Then he breaks his maiden. He comes back in the Santa Anita Derby, just toss it. He finishes 5th against horses that are better than him. Then they go to Lone Star. That Texas Derby race, that was sneaky good. He finished like 3 lengths. And I think the comment line is a little bit wrong. It says flattened out. He was not flattening out. He was rallying between horses and moving very nicely. Following that, he runs in the Low Sal Derby behind High Connection and Slow Down Andy. Well, those are 2 horses that have a little bit more speed than him. So they're always going to be able to sort of get the jump on him in smaller fields like that. Then he goes to the turf and he runs a couple bang up races on the turf. He just missed last time out. I know, because I needed him quite bad that day. Yeah, just missed. And it was a good performance. He was waiting. And then he angled out. He tipped out. He just missed. The distance won't be a problem for him. And he's just a better horse now than he was, 3 starts back. I think his dirt races, he can just take a little step forward. This feels like a really good spot for Win the Day. That's like a Doug O'Neill barn.
Oh, yeah.
Credo. Win the day. Win the day, baby.
Motto. Win the day.
Win the day.
I'm with you. I love Carmelita's Man Yet. Last time I needed Win the Day, who loses by a nose to Carmelita.
Hold on. Wait.
By the way, I needed Win the Day too, so that's 3 of us.
Oh, yeah. George,
I'm getting a phone call. Hold on a second. I'm getting a phone call.
From Hector Barrios?
Yeah.
Hello? What? You want me to tell Gino what? Oh, no, I can't. We're on air. I can't say, okay, I got to talk to you later. That's the guy who makes the track comments for the Daily Racing Forum, talking about flattened out, and he wanted me to say something to Gino, but I couldn't say it.
Skipper, you got any thoughts real quick in this race?
I'm going to bet Avenue. I like Avenue. Michael McCarthy's horse. This horse going to the dirt for the first time in its career, which is kind of strange because it's bred for the dirt more so than the turf. And it's just a plotter. This horse doesn't have a turn of foot or anything. It just is a grinder. It just keeps coming. I think it's going to like the dirt a lot. I'm going to take a shot with Avenue.
When Gino was talking about a closer in the race with a lot, because there is some speed, I thought for sure he was going to talk about Avenue. Avenue is I think the biggest beneficiary if some sort of a speed duel develops.
Whenever you can think about who I'm looking at, look for the higher price horse. That might make a little more sense, because that's just the way I'm always looking at it. I'd rather look at double the price on Win the Day, who might be able to get the same sort of trip and just offer us a little bit more value. I've no knocks against Avenue. If you're playing pick 4s or pick 5s, Avenue would absolutely be a horse on my tickets. But if I'm looking like to play a horse to win, if Win the Day is like 6-1 plus, that's probably where I go in that direction. Nothing wrong with the 20 to win spot in a horse like that.
No,
I don't know. You give some great advice, but I don't think you'll ever be a good teacher because you just don't know how to deal with chalk. You just don't use it.
No, it's not that I won't. It's not that every of these races, like in a pick 4 or pick 5, I'm throwing them completely out. But what's the point of me coming on here and just giving out a horse that's chalky? My whole job is try to put those horses in second and third and beat them with some other horses. So I leave the chalk to George, because otherwise our show would be 2 minutes. It would be chalk, Hector Barrios. Let's just move on. That's it.
All right. We got a little less than 2 minutes if we keep this in an hour. Best bet. Let's go around the room real quick on either day. It doesn't have to be one of the stakes. Gino?
Yeah, you know what? Let's go with Awake at Midnight, who we did just mention there on Sunday, who I like quite a bit in that spot. I think it's a really nice spot for Awake at Midnight at like 7-2 or plus, 5-1 on the morning line. So that'll be a horse who I build a lot of stuff around on Sunday.
Awake at Midnight for Dougie Fresh. Skipper?
My best bet's going to be tomorrow, race 7, the Eddie D coming down the hill. I'm taking Air Force Red, 5-1. I like this horse a lot. It probably won't be on the lead, but it'll be laying second. We know it loves the distance. It loves the course. I'm all over this horse tomorrow.
All right, love it. One of my favorite horses ever. Hector George. Best bet.
My best bet is Saturday, race 10, and it's not Hector Barrios. It's number 5, Mystified Doll. Mystified Doll with Rispoli aboard for Richard Mandela. This first-time starter, I heard nothing but good things about. Could end up being 4-5, so it might be the chalk, even though 6-1 on the morning line. I love Mystified Doll tomorrow on the 10th.
Oddly enough, that horse, Mandela doesn't win much, and he's 1 for 31 first time on the turf. And I picked that horse on top, the 5, on my tip sheet for tomorrow. Believe it or not.
I'm going to tell you a horse, a first-time starter. Mullins doesn't win first time out very often, but the 10 Ragtime Rose could run. Go back on XBTV and watch that last work. It kind of stumbled, like broke slow. Then it made the lead easy. Then they took hold, and then it looped around that horse under a hold and didn't ask. I think that horse, I mean, obviously it's a nice horse. They paid $525,000 for it, but that horse at 15 to 1's great. I think it's got a big shot tomorrow.
All right, that's a minute, boys, gentlemen. Let's do it again next week. Everybody, good luck. Our thanks to Seminar Skip, Gino, and Hector Barrios. And don't eat. Our motto is don't eat chalk unless you have to. Everybody, good job. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.
Thanks.